제주 영어교육도시의 중심 NLCS 제주에서 세계 명문대 출신 엘리트 교사진과 해외 커리큘럼으로 전 세계 상위 1%의 학사 성과를 달성하고 있으며 졸업생들은 세계 최정상급 대학으로 진학하고 있습니다. 전인적인 성장과 함께 꿈을 찾아가는 특별한 교육의 가치. 글로벌 동문 네트워크로 계속됩니다. NLCS 제주가 명문대 진학의 길을 열어갑니다.
We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you is Wednesday, October 29th here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Moonju.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Also, Brooke is with us.
Hello, happy to be here.
Good to have you. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we've made it to the middle of the work week. It's been a busy few days filled with deadlines, meetings, and everything in between. So it feels good to take a breather and shift gears for a bit. So today, instead of talking about something serious, we want to explore something a little more fun and cultural. So have either of you ever tried a traditional Korean sport, whether it's the martial art of Taekwondo, the wrestling side of Shirim, or another unique sport? I'd love to hear about your experiences and what it was like stepping into this part of Korean culture. So Moonju, do you want to go first?
Yeah, of course. I've tried Taekwondo. Okay? I learned it when I was about 6 or 7 years old. And here comes a sad story. Okay? I still remember the day I came home almost with the tears, telling my mom that I would never learn Taekwondo again, ever again. That was after only about a week that I've learned Taekwondo. Since then, I've never stepped a foot in Taekwondo studio, as I told my mom. And that being said, I truly respect all Taekwondo players, anyone who's trained longer than I did, which means longer than a week. And all I can do now is watch the Taekwondo demonstration team and great amazement.
So just briefly, what happened that made you last only a week?
Must have been a difficult week.
They made me kick, right? And it was so hard. I have very short. Okay, I'm exposed too much in News Generation, but my leg's pretty short. Kicking is very hard for me. I was crying the day. I was crying at my home. I was
Hopefully,
I'm not gonna learn Taekwondo again. Yeah.
Hopefully, throughout for this episode, you'll be able to recover from that.
Yeah, please.
What about you, Bro?
So I haven't tried Taekwondo. I've tried some traditional Korean folk games, like the kind that you would see in Squid Game, for example. I've tried takji, where you throw the piece of paper, try to make it flip. I've tried gongi, which is kind of like jacks, where you throw the marbles. That one is so hard trying to catch them. I've tried yunori and jegichagi, which is like hacky sack. But none of these are the traditional martial arts of Korea. I have not tried Taekwondo before. However, my niece is currently taking classes in Chicago. I will be talking a little bit more about her journey with the sport later. Luckily, she made it past a week. I think she really likes it. She's got very long legs. Maybe that is why.
Oh, it does help.
Both her parents are very tall. But yeah, she's really enjoying it, and I got to experience it through watching her. And I really loved seeing all of the kids in her class count in Korean, and they bowed to their instructors and to their peers. I think it teaches a lot of really great life lessons that we're going to talk about through the episode.
So it's really exciting to see Taekwondo being practiced all the way in Chicago. It just shows how global Korean sports have become. Speaking of that, Taekwondo and another sport similar to it are thriving overseas and capturing the interest of people around the world. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. Traditional aspects of Korea have shaped not only its culture, but also its music and film, capturing attention around the world. Korea's traditional sports are equally fascinating and deserve recognition. One of these, Taekwondo, is already well known internationally, but there's another, Taekyon, that has been gaining popularity in recent years. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at Taekwondo and Taekyon, exploring why these sports are captivating audiences abroad and sharing our thoughts on how they can be further promoted and preserved for future generations. As I just saw in the video, Taekwondo has truly become the most globally recognized traditional Korean sport practiced in schools, gyms, and in competitions all over the world. But there's another traditional sport that's been stepping into the spotlight recently, Taekyon. So, Moonju, could you tell us about how Taekyon has been introduced overseas recently?
Yeah, so last September, the powerful shouts of Taekyon, a traditional Korean martial art, echoed across the Czech Republic.
Wow.
So the program was selected as a part of the Korean Sport and Olympic Committee's initiative called 2025 Sports Exchange Agreement Implementation Project. So over a 10-day period, Taekyon master training sessions and black belt courses were held. And this kind of followed last year's Taekyon demonstrations and seminars in Europe, which received highly positive feedback from local martial arts communities. And building on that success, the latest program was carried out as a continued effort in sports diplomacy.
So it's really exciting to hear that Taekyon is making its mark in Europe, not just with performances, but the real training programs and long-term partnerships. Now, for viewers who might be hearing about Taekyon for the first time, could you explain what kind of martial art it is, Brooke?
Sure, and I'm also learning about Taekyon for the first time today, so I'd love to help inform other people about it. Taekyon is a traditional Korean martial art that's characterized by fluid, rhythmic movements intended to strike or trip up an opponent. You're trying to knock them off balance. And it also makes use of this distinctive foot pattern that's called 풍팔기, or stepping on triangles. And the motions of this movement, they flow very much like a dance, as you're seeing now. It's beautiful to look at. And they also include a rhythmic shout. We heard Moonju mention powerful shouts that were echoing across the Czech Republic. So I'd like you to maybe recreate that for us now so we can hear what it sounds like.
Sure, definitely. There's two. One's eek. The other one is ek.
Okay.
It only lasted a week. That was really good.
Thank you. So that is how it gives the Taekyon martial art form a kind of really expressive quality when you watch it. And while these sounds may be portrayed somewhat humorously in Korean comedy content and pop culture, this martial art form is very much an art form. It is filled with deep grace and creativity. And although the name might sound similar to the English-speaking ear when you hear Taekwondo and Taekyon, they actually are completely different in origin, style, and lineage. Taekyon is recognized as both a national intangible cultural heritage of Korea and a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So in other words, just like Taekwondo, it is a very precious cultural asset, and I hope that through this program and other efforts, more people can come to know about Taekyon as well.
So the combination of rhythmic, flowing movements that we just saw in the video with real martial arts strength is truly fascinating. It shows that Taekyon isn't just a sport, it's a meaningful cultural heritage, and the fact that it's recognized both as a national intangible cultural heritage and a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage speaks to just how valuable it is to Korea and to the world. So from your perspective, Moonju, what aspects of Taekyon do you think are most appealing or attractive to people outside of Korea?
Yeah, there should be a lot for it. But the core principle of Taekyon lies in the defense rather than offense, subduing an opponent without causing any harm. So many foreigners say this spirit of consideration is what makes Taekyon truly unique. And unlike most sports where offensive power is the key to victory, the Taekyon stands apart. Even its kicks are designed not to strike aggressively, but to push safely. And yet, despite its gentle appearance, Taekyon is known for its strength, agility, and precision. This blend of softness and power, along with its philosophy of harmony and mutual respect, continues to captivate people from around the world.
So it's a martial art that values harmony and respect, even in combat, that really sets Taekyon apart from many other fighting styles around the world. It's amazing how something that looks so soft and smooth can actually carry such power and precision, and that contrast is definitely part of its appeal. And to hear even more about this, we're going to speak with a Taekyon instructor from France, and that's coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Jean-Sebastien, a Taekyon instructor from France. Hi, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
So how did you first start practicing Taekwondo and what made you choose this sport in particular?
Actually, after I watched an interview and demonstration by Grandmaster Do Ki-yeon and his students, he was interviewed by Chris Crudelli, a British martial artist, and it was on YouTube, and I got very interested in the martial art.
Yeah, I see. So, what do you find the most appealing about Taekyon, and what aspects do you find the most challenging?
I really like the traditional aspect of it, the playful, non-aggressive spirit, and the control with the kicking, the amazing high kicks, jump kicks, and the throwing techniques, tripping techniques. I really like that.
Great. So how does Taekyon reflect the Korean spirit, and how would you like to see it recognized on the global stage going forward?
I think it's a very well-balanced martial art. It has very hard techniques you can use maybe for self-defense, but it has very playful, softer techniques, which are very fun to use when you do a competition. It reminds me a lot of the mask dance, Korean mask dance. And I think the spirit is very reminding me of a hung, the enthusiasm in Korean culture. So, and the question you said, how I would like the future of Taekyon to be?
Yes.
Okay. I think Taekyon, I hope it would be practiced by more people, especially along with Taekwondo. I think both martial arts and sports can be done together with benefits for the practitioners and also for the image of Korean culture abroad.
I really hope there'll be more instructors like you to spread and raise awareness of Taekwondo in the future as well. And also, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us today.
감사합니다. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just heard from a Taekwondo instructor from France who shared how he first got introduced to Taekwondo, what drew him to the sport, and why he finds it so interesting and valuable. And both the graceful flowing movements and the deeper cultural Korean philosophy behind it is what clearly draws people in. And earlier we briefly mentioned Taekwondo. So unlike Taekwondo has already been quite popular and mainstream for quite some time. It's an Olympic sport and its global reach is truly impressive. So just how popular has it become internationally? What makes such a successful martial art around the world, Brooke?
Yeah, I've known about Taekwondo since I was a kid. Taekwondo is widely recognized as one of the most successful examples of globalization among all martial arts. Its practitioners now number over 200 million worldwide. And last year actually marked the 30th anniversary of Taekwondo's inclusion as an official Olympic sport. It's also become one of the most popular after-school activities overseas. For example, one elementary school in California had more students enrolling in Taekwondo than sports like baseball, soccer, or basketball. And now I'd like to talk a little bit more about my niece, who I mentioned earlier. She is currently taking Taekwondo classes all the way in Chicago, and she is just loving it. I've talked about her on the show before. She is all about, all things Korean, and her parents really wanted her to learn this discipline because she's got a lot of energy to burn off, and they figured that she would, enjoy the physical activity. But beyond that, they wanted her to learn the lessons that you learn when you are in Taekwondo, which really is centered around respect. So I remember watching her class. I got to see her speak in Korean, and she was bowing and being very respectful and polite, and so were all of her classmates. And that's pretty hard to get a bunch of little kids to do. So I think those are values that it's really important to instill in our younger generations. And it's great to see that it is taking root not just in Korea, but all over the world. It's wonderful to see.
And you mentioned earlier how they count to 1 to 10 in Korean as well, which is
so cute.
So cute. Well, also over 200 million practitioners worldwide, which even includes your niece, and it really shows just how far Taekwondo has grown. It's incredible to see a Korean martial art become such a global phenomenon. Now, Taekwondo and Taekyon not only sound similar, but many people, even here in Korea, often don't know the difference between the two, which is why I wanted to ask, so So how are these two sports similar and how are they different, Moonju?
Yeah, there are some similarities and differences. So first of all, the two sports differ in how the matches are played. While Taekwondo relies mainly on kicking as its primary form of attack, Tekken uses both hands and feet in balance. And also the scoring system is distinct, in Taekwondo points are awarded differently depending on where the strike lands. For example, if the strike lands on your head, you get the 3 points, the other body part you get the 2 points and stuff. But Tekken, it depends on the more defensive side. So you have to be very gentle, and the point is you have to throw the opponent down to the ground. And both disciplines, however, emphasize not only technical skill but also mental and moral training. And here comes the similarities. Respect and consideration are key virtues shared by both Taekwondo and Tekken, helping practitioners cultivate manners, self-control, and humility. In today's fast-paced world where many seek instant gratification, these martial arts teach the lasting value of steady effort over immediate reward.
I think you did a great job explaining the similarities and differences. And that's also a really important point. Beyond the physical techniques, both sports teach respect, humility, and patience, values that are sometimes forgotten in today's fast-paced world. It's fascinating how Taekwondo and Tekken aren't just about fighting skills, but also about building character and learning the value of steady, long-term effort. So we were also curious about how these sports are perceived more broadly. So we asked on the Arirang News YouTube channel, what do you think makes the traditional Korean sports of Taekwondo and Tekken appealing? So here's what the results show. So let's take a look at this. So nearly half of respondents, 47%, pointed to the strong connection to Korean cultural heritage. Meanwhile, 28% said the physical training aspect was the biggest draw, and 24% highlighted the value of mental discipline. Only about 1% chose other reasons. So it's quite interesting to see that nearly half of the respondents pointed to Korean cultural heritage as the biggest appeal. It shows that Taekwondo and Tekken are more than martial arts. They are symbols of identity and tradition. But while everyone values the value of tradition, actually preserving it and passing it on is a whole different challenge. So in your view, Moonju, what do we need to do to ensure that traditional sports like Taekwondo and Tekken continue to thrive for future generations?
Yeah, I think the biggest part and the most important part to promote Tekken is through school physical education and community sports programs. So ultimately, for any sport to grow, there needs to be a larger base of participants. For example, soccer, baseball, basketball. Every school has at least the club teams or even the elite teams, right? But it's very hard to find Tekken elite teams or even the club teams. So I think it is very important to put those programs in schools, and also so we could create more opportunities for people to experience and enjoy Tekken. What makes this even more feasible is that Tekken requires no special equipment. If, in case of Taekwondo, you have to have the bodysuit, you have to have the helmet and stuff, but the Tekken you could only do with your body without any equipment, so it's very accessible. And lastly, it also serves an excellent tool, for character education among students. And if introduced more actively in schools and communities, I think it could become a meaningful platform for many more people to engage with and appreciate this traditional Korean martial art. Yeah.
I think you've convinced me to also start practicing sport, because I think with a lot of sports, like with golf, tennis, equipment is such an important part of it.
True, and it's expensive as well.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
So
here's the point. Yeah, I'm not gonna try, so I will give the best luck with you. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe you can join me though.
I'll think about it. Yeah.
So what about you, Brooke?
Well, I mean, as we heard earlier during our interview, he got into Korean martial arts from a YouTube video.
Right.
I learned about Taekyon today through NewsGen. So these are all examples of how we can use things like social media and the internet to reach more people and make sure they're more informed. I always knew about Taekwondo. It's been very globalized. My friends knew about it as well. But like I said, today is my first time hearing about Taekyon. So I think the way to address that issue is to include it in more Korean content, put the spotlight on Taekyon. Like we saw with K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of people became way more interested in certain elements of Korean culture because they loved the movie so much. So I think if we had more storylines and characters and more variety content surrounding Korean martial arts, we would see a similar similar rise in interest. Beyond that, I think we could dispatch more instructors overseas so that people can be taught properly and they can learn the beautiful philosophy of Taekyon, which has to do with respect and harmony and all of the character values that we've been talking today. And through doing that, we will not only keep that tradition alive, but also we can create these cultural bridges between Korea and the world.
I think you make some really great points there. Like I think raising awareness is really important. Like things that Moonji pointed out. You don't need equipment to start this, and also like you say, making sure it's accessible. So
That's
making
right.
more instructors available is really important. So traditional Korean martial arts are not just physical disciplines. They carry centuries of history, philosophy, and identity. So as long as we continue nurturing both their culture roots and their global potential, Taekwondo and Taekyon will remain powerful symbols of Korean pride for generations to come. And with young people all over the world embracing these sports, the future of Taekwondo and Taekyon looks quite bright. So whether you're a practitioner, a fan, or simply proud of Korea's heritage, we all have a role in keeping these traditions strong by sharing them, supporting them, and passing them on. So that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Moonju.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming in, also Brooke.
Had a lot of fun today.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best day. We are
News Generation.
갈까요?
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 어디 가요?
한글! 한글! 만나러!
Millennial and Gen Zs are reshaping the world. News Generation shares their fresh perspectives on what's trending now. From global developments to everyday culture, we're diving into the stories that matter. This is News Generation.
Time to set the facts straight. Get Korea right. K-culture is sweeping the globe. K-pop, K-drama, K-movie, K-food, and even K-beauty. Korean cultural content is gaining more and more fans worldwide.